group. I just love your flag. Yeah. I brought some friends with me I want to introduce you to. One is James, and he's Karaoke Houston. He runs karaoke shows all over the city. And he produced the video that I'm going to show you in a second, my introduction. And then we have 288 Lake Luke McGee. And that's my camera girl.
Follow TJ as he investigates and locates artifacts in a city that has a history dating back to the early 1800s. A city that has seen fierce battles, rich oil tycoons, and the birth of our nation's space program. With a metropolitan population of over 6 million people, there is only one urban treasure hunter.
Do any of you do any treasure hunting now?
Seriously?
Couch cushions.
You used to
In the water.
That's great. And so you did land? And what kind?
Last year.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Does the mall count?
The mall, it counts for camera girl back there. So in the past, treasure hunting has been here for centuries. And before metal detectors and such, they used to actually dive down and look in old ships. And they also chased legendary treasure. You know, like Billy the Kid's Lost Treasure, Jesse James. And so then they invented the metal detector. And do you know who invented the first metal detector? Anybody?
Einstein.
No.
Michelangelo.
Good guess. It was Alexander Graham Bell.
That's close.
That makes sense.
The president got shot in the chest, and they didn't have MRIs or CAT scans, so he.
Maybe use that to pull it out?
Well, he invented a metal detector to detect a bullet. And the problem is, it was a total failure, and it was realized that it would have worked if he wasn't laying in a bed, okay, because the metal bed springs were interfering. So when they figured it out later.
He's riddled.
And Gerhard Fischer, he started producing them in the 1920s. He realized that that Bell would have been successful if he hadn't had the bed springs in the bed. So he created the first metal detector, and I couldn't imagine carrying that in a
Portable model, yeah.
But the military used it because they started making mines back then also. The 50s and 60s were hot. White Electronics made a model that was a hobby model that you could carry in, and Garrett jumped on board, and Fisher started making theirs, and that's an M scope. Every once in a while at a garage sale you might see one of those. So this leads us to urban treasure hunting, and so that's what I specialize in. I don't really go into the ocean and do wrecks and things. I go to ponds and lakes and places that are more urban. And there's many places to hunt. In the urban treasure hunting setting, you can go along sidewalks.
No, I'm sorry. I saw that on TV one day. You really find stuff in there?
You do. You really do.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Mostly coins, but you do find occasional jewelry. Parks are loaded. Parks are loaded. Yeah.
Beach.
Old historical sites, beaches, yep. Abandoned houses, old carnival grounds, sure. Schoolyards, railroad stations.
What happens if something did?
Then you put it in your pocket. Now the Texas Historic Commission says if you dig up something that's over 50 years old, it belongs to them. But nobody I know sends it to them. So.
What's better than 50 always insured?
Oh, absolutely. Even if it has a date on it, still it's
It's petrified wood.
ski resorts are excellent places to go. Swimming holes are excellent.
Relic.
Beaches, like you said earlier. boardwalks, especially if you put on your gear and you dive down there, you probably find a lot of stuff. Boat docks and piers, bridges, floating platforms, and old wells. Now, if you go down an old well, you need to tether yourself. If you're like me, it might last almost an hour on a full tank. Okay, first I want to talk about land hunting. This would be your parks and your historical sites. There's various equipment for land hunting. Metal detector, of course, is the #1 thing that you would need. And the Garrett AT Pro, which I brought. This is my baby. The AT Pro, it's an excellent machine. It's high quality. So if you go to a beach, it won't give you false hits. If you go with a cheap detector, something much cheaper, then it'll go nuts. You won't be able to go near the water. And I started off with a cheap detector, and okay, if it's a big object, it can go probably a foot, and if it's something like a ring or something, usually 6 to 8 inches. But it depends on how big it is and how cheap the metal is. Another pro to the AT Pro is it can go 10 feet underwater. So I could walk in the beach, in the water with it, and submerge it up to 10 feet. And it will still work, no problems. It's reasonably priced for a professional detector. It runs around $600, and you know, most detectors in its class would probably be more like $1,200, $1,500. It's very easy to use. You could literally turn it on and go out there and start finding stuff, because there's a standard mode. But they have a pro mode too, that you can set the sounds, and you can hear growls whenever it's iron instead of gold, things like that. And there's different tones for different metals. And Garrett has the most excellent customer support. I've never seen a company like it. I do not. and all the companies I'm talking about today, I'm plugging them. They are. I get nothing from them. When I get good service, I like to pass it on. If that thing broke in 5 years from now, I could call Garrett and they would say send it in, and they would replace everything that's broken on it at no charge. It's amazing, amazing. It can't go below 10 feet. That's kind of a con. And so you can't take it scuba diving unless you're in a very shallow area.
Come on.
Come on. There you go.
Come on.
And you have to have special waterproof headphones to submerge. Now they've been splashed and they still work, but there's blue headphones. Yes.
What's the 10-foot depth limit on? Is it the control box? I mean,
you know, it has a seal on it.
So the seal.
And it has an O-ring, but the O-ring is only rated for that pressure.
For you 20.
And then you need a pinpointer for land hunting, and Garrett makes the Pro Pointer, which is the best land pinpointer that you can get, and you can actually almost go on top of the ground and tell where it's at before you dig it. A pinpointer is made to pinpoint where it's at, so you don't have to dig a huge hole whenever you find something. Now, what I like to use on land is this. This is the Vibroquatic 2, and it is.
Don't worry, we're going into business.
This costs $125. But this is for scuba diving. This goes $200.
For a good time.
This goes 200 feet under.
Oh, not 200 feet.
Yeah.
No, really, you can
use it on land. I use it on land, and whenever you get near metal, it vibrates and lights up, and it makes
Yeah, baby. I mean,
Tell them.
that's it coming back.
What's your word?
So we might actually join this group.
You might have to edit your video.
What's that? What's the depth on that one?
The depth
Hold on.
is 200 feet.
Yes.
Oh, you mean, you know, it depends. If it's a big, like a can or something, it can go pretty far, like 4 to 6 inches. If it's gold, it would go like 3, maybe 4 inches. Then there's diggers. You need a digger if you're on the land. The Garrett, again, they make an awesome digger. Yes, ma'am?
There's that cable show that's called The Diggers.
Yes, there is. There's a cable show called The Diggers.
And they can use that, whatever they use, and they can tell right away what it is.
Yep, they use AT Pros if I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does tell you, it tells you what you get. It does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it does. It tells you what you get. I like the T-shovel myself. I used to have the Garrett Edge Digger, but it got stolen. So.
That sucks.
Yeah, no, I went to New Mexico. We went to New Mexico to look for Forrest Finn's lost treasure. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a man who was diagnosed with cancer and given 3 months to live. He's a millionaire, so he took $2 million and he went and he hid it in the Rocky Mountains. So we went looking for it, and when we got to Roswell, New Mexico, we forgot a bag in the front. So I called and let him know, and housekeeping had already stolen it. So,
Aliens got
That's the U.S. Air Force.
so-
it. Yeah, the aliens got it.
But
Yeah.
Roswell, yes.
but they got one of these, and they got the Garrett Digger.
That sucks.
Terrible.
I hated those things.
Yeah. You need gloves. Of course, there's tetanus in the dirt itself. I mean, you don't even have to get cut by rusted metal. So, you know, you should have tetanus shots every 10 years, or if you haven't had it in 5 years and get cut, you should go get another one. And use gloves. I never cut myself with gloves. If I don't wear gloves, if I forget them at home or something, then usually I'll get cut.
There's a lot of glass, you know.
There's a lot of glass, and there's a lot of sharp metal. That's great. Bags. Garrett, again, carries a great bag. They have a big pouch to put your trash in, and then they have a little zipper inside that you can put the good stuff. Coins and jewelry and whatever. And also mesh bags. Even though, you know, diving, you really need a mesh bag to dive with. I use it on land a lot, because the dirt falls through it and
Makes
everything's
sense.
much cleaner. Then you have ground penetrating radar. I mean,
Oh, it's a low one.
this is an interesting tool. It's quite expensive, and for a whole weekend you can rent it for $250 to $300.
Is it worth it?
It is if you have a good lead. If you're just going to look for anything, you know, you don't know where you're going, then it's not worth it. But
Have you ever had a good lead?
I have had a good lead. Actually, in Louisiana, which is where I'm from, my father's friend,
What part of Louisiana?
Lafayette.
That's a nice town.
That's very, please explain, I'd like to know that.
Well, yeah, these pirates went through years ago, and they were running from the law, and they buried their treasure on this man's land. There were 4 hills, and they buried them in 4 pots, just full of gold. And so the man, you know, they told him, don't you dig this up, don't touch it or we'll kill you and your family. So he didn't touch it. And so years passed, and he was the great-grandfather of now this kid, and he took the kid to it, and he said, all the pirates are dead. I know that for a fact, and we need money, so we're going to dig up one of these pots. So he dug up a pot of gold in front of this child. He was probably 10 years old. And now this 10-year-old kid is like 75 or 80 years old and says, I know exactly where it's at. And I want you to come and get it, and we'll split it 50-50. There's 3 pots of gold.
To you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's what I would rent this for.
Who runs it? Where is it?
I'm not at liberty to tell you if I found it.
So if you knew exactly where it was, why did you have to rent that though?
Well, because
Not exactly.
things change over the years, people's memories are foggy, and you know, if I just dug in one spot, I'd really rather have the proof before I had Luke dig a big hole.
You really spend that kind of money?
Who rents those?
I would spend $250 for a weekend.
So how'd it come out?
Well, honestly, the guy's hip broke,
Positive or?
and so, you know, I haven't gone yet. I'm waiting for his hip to heal, and then we're going out there.
Well, good luck.
I haven't done it yet.
I didn't know it's not just.
Thank you.
Yeah,
He
good
might
luck.
be, but I'll spend $250 to find out.
So where do you rent that? You go online or?
Well, actually, yes, there's a place online that, I can't remember the name of the place.
Video it.
Huh?
You need to
Oh, I
video it.
will. I will.
Don't video it
But
unless you want.
I've seen these work to find foundations in Utah.
Yes, you can find it.
But how deep does it penetrate? What does it penetrate?
Okay, it goes 26.5 feet deep.
In mineral-rich
Sure.
soil?
Sure. It works in all.
How about through rock?
Through rock, I've never tried it. To be honest with you.
Pipeline mapping or something.
Well, they've used them in mines to try and find pockets,
Sure.
and I've never heard whether they work well or not.
They work great, and it shoots through the ground, and when it hits the object, it'll come up first, and so you'll get an image like that.
Okay.
Now those are water pipes, I think. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure those are water pipes, and you can tell by the way it pulls over. Yeah. And those are meters, so if you look and you see that, you know, there's a water pipe 2.6 meters down. So, but those are very useful if you have something deep, or you're not sure where to dig, and you know something's on the land. You know, cemeteries use them actually for unmarked graves. They'll have someone come by and just survey the whole land and find unmarked graves. You can see the bones and everything.
Crazy.
Pretty interesting. Now I want to go over some land hunting techniques. Number one, you always dig plugs. And a plug is a very neat round hole, and you pull out the plug. And then when you plug it, when you put the plug back in, then it looks like you weren't even there. And that's what we want. We always bury our holes. Right now, it's illegal to hunt in county parks in Harris County, but city parks are okay.
Huh.
Missouri, you're good. All the other counties are
All the
good.
other counties, as far as I know, we do go to a lot of counties, and so I know pretty much all of them. I've talked to Steve Raddock's right-hand man, and told him that the cops ran me out of Bear Creek Park.
Oh.
I said, well, they'll never do it again, I promise, and all this stuff. I still do, so. So you dig a plug, and you bring a towel with you, and you put the towel next to the hole. And when you dig, you want to dig widely around the target, because many times I've seen people nick the target. They'll have like a coin that's very rare and very old. 1850, I think this guy got, and he nicked it. And so you want to dig around it widely, and you want to spill everything onto the towel, and that will help you stay neat and tidy. So whenever you fill a hole, you just lift up the plug and dump the dirt into the hole and cover it. I do that whenever I'm on someone's lawn, like if someone says, hey, come check out my yard or whatever, and it's a really nice lawn, and I'll do that trick there. If it's a park, I usually don't use a towel there. You always want to use a pinpointer, because it'll show you exactly where the target is, so you're not going to dig a big hole. I forgot my pinpointer, and I've dug huge holes because of it. It's just so hard to find it after you start digging. And you always take out the trash. That's the big thing. And when I go to a park, it's amazing. If they see you digging, they'll call Steve Raddock, and they'll say, hey, there's guys digging in there, and they carry metal detectors. But their kids are throwing trash all over the park. Their dog is pooping all over, and they're not chasing it around and digging it up and scooping it. And so we always try to make it look great before we leave. So if I'm walking, there's a cup on the ground, I'll pick it up, throw it in my bag. When I'm digging, if I dig up a bottle cap, I'll keep it. And we keep all our trash, we take it out, we try to make it better. And that way, Steve Raddock and those guys, they watch and they know that we cleaned the park out. So it kind of helps our reputation. Be friendly. I've seen so many metal detectorists are strange people. They're very.
Not like screwdrivers at all.
That's true. That's a good point. Metal detectors are very isolated kind of people. A lot of them, and they can be kind of rude sometimes, and it just upsets me because the lady that you're being rude to is going to go call you rat, you know. So I try to be friendly as I can be. Dig everything. That's the key rule. This stuff here, you're going to dig up all this crap and pennies. You're going to dig a foot down for a penny, and you know. But this is what you're going to get. You know, this is a $500 ring. I think we got $500 for that ring.
It was Roger's.
And the thing is, with these models,
Do they tell you how, I'm sorry,
Oh,
do they tell you how deep to dig?
yeah, it tells you how
Does it?
deep it is. Yes.
Oh.
So basically, I could set this to where I only find good stuff, and I don't have to find the trash. You see? And so I set it, and I go through the park, and I walk out, and I have like a bag full of silver. But you cannot have a bag full of gold, because gold rings up the same as this piece of iron.
Is that always in there? Is it always a gold or?
It's always either iron or gold.
So that machine doesn't say it's gold and silver?
No, it'll say it's either iron or gold. There's no distinction between the two. So that's kind of the bad thing.
That's a challenge.
It is a challenge. So dig everything. Always dig everything. When you pick a team, your team and you split everything. And so like if me and Luke and James went out tomorrow and we found a $600 bracelet, then we would each get $200. And that's the way it is. If Luke was being lazy and he didn't want to dig everything and he put it on just silver, then I would be screwed because there's no way he could find gold. And if I find gold, then he's going to get screwed because, well, I'm going to get screwed.
Do you have a certain person you take it to?
Yes, I think it's a U.S. coin by Voss on I-10. That place pays 85% of melt value, which is great, and I've dealt with them for years, so they're very honest people, very cash. And they give you cash, no checks. So be sure when you hunt with people, you establish beforehand, hey, we're going to split everything or we're not, because you don't want to have to face that when you find this big gold ring. Beach hunting. Beach hunting is my favorite. There's different equipment for beach hunting than land hunting. Of course, you need a metal detector. Garrett works great on the beach, the AT Pro. There's also a Garrett Sea Hunter Mark II that I used to have, and it's a scuba diving machine that actually goes 200 feet underwater, but it handles minerals perfectly. So you could go to the beach and you could scan the beach and you're not going to get any false hits. It also mounts 3 different ways. You could put it on the pole, just like that one is, or if the battery's too heavy for you, you can wear it on a belt and just carry the pole, which is real light.
What kind of batteries do you?
Those take like, I think, 8 AA's.
What does yours use? Where?
This
What
one
do you have?
takes 8 AA's.
That's interesting.
Oh, they last probably a month. Oh, really? Full time.
I would have thought they'd be a lot.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But the 9 golds or something. They used
car
to be,
battery.
they've changed.
Yeah, they do.
Battery.
Yeah,
They're lithium.
some hunters use rechargeable packs, and you can do that as well. They don't last as long. You could also make it short, the Sea Hunter. You could make it to where it's just this long here, and you just scuba dive and scan the bottom.
How much does that cost? The Sea Hunter.
The Sea Hunter, I have it on here. I think it's 600 and something, but I do have it. The next thing you need is a scoop, and this is a scoop. They're very heavy, but they're very worth it. They
On
cost
the beach?
$100. Yep, on the beach. They cost $100, and they will pay for themselves, guaranteed.
You
Why do
step
you
on the
say
back
that?
of that one and push it in?
Yes, you do. You put it like this, and you step on it, and you just dig it in.
Oh.
And I'm going to go over that.
first place that comes to mind is like Bolivar Beach.
Yeah, we've been to Bolivar Beach.
But after the hurricane, don't you get all kinds of trash? Because I mean, it tore up all the houses, so there could be anything there, but a lot of nails and trash.
James and I went to Bolivar Beach, and boy, did we get some trash. I think we just got a few pennies in a hole.
So you're that guy we see at 5 p.m. walking the beach when we're having our last beer.
No, that's Robert. That's Robert. Waders and a wetsuit or something else you'll need. If you go in the wintertime, the beach is really the best time to go. You want to wear probably, like this time I'd wear like a 7 mil. And I have a Farmer John, but I like to be real warm. Or you can wear waders to keep yourself dry. And you need a treasure bag. You can use mesh, which is what I use. Some people build these little things. There's a screen in there, and it's PVC pipe to help it float. Some people use an inner tube and they blow it up. The point is when you go to the beach to be able to stand up to your chest in the water and hunt.
Wade fishermen use that.
They do. I'm going to show you some techniques. Number one, the moon and the ocean, they work together. And it is so amazing how they work together. They will place trash, coins, perfectly in a line. It is so amazing. If I took you to, if we were on the beach right now, and I took my detector, when I start hitting coins, if I just went parallel to the water, down the beach, it would just be coin after coin after coin. They're just like in a straight line. Fake jewelry, I hit some fake jewelry. I hit one earring, and 10 feet down, I hit the other earring. That matched it. It's just amazing. It's amazing. This is kind of how it is. Whenever you go to the beach, if this is the water, then what you're going to do, first you'll hit the trash. The trash is always away from the water on the furthest side. And then as you go into the water or near it, then you'll start hitting the coins. And then when you go deep enough, then you hit the gold. When you start hitting gold jewelry, then at that point you want to just go parallel with the shore, and you should hit more gold. Very exciting. Know the tides. See this tide here? This is Malibu Beach, and the tide is extremely low. So these people are in their up to their ankles in water, but you know, 4 hours earlier they would be over their heads in water. And so you can go way out there without even diving. If you watch the tides, go during the lowest tide. And if you go up to your chest, you'll be going in potentially like 20 feet water, 20 feet water, depending on how low the tide is. The technique is kind of interesting. You're blindly searching when you're in the water and you're not diving, but you're standing up to your chest. Your footwork has to be proper because you cannot see anything. You will be blindly doing this. So I take my detector and I sweep it and I get a beep. And the first thing I want to do is plant my less dominant foot where the beep is, where I hear the beep. And the next thing I do is put the point right in front of my foot. Then I'm going to use my dominant foot to dig through, pull it away, and I'm going to re-sweep it. If I get a hit, then it's not in the bucket. I dump the bucket and I do it again. I also can readjust my lead foot if I need to. If I hear the beep and it's more to the right, then I do it again. And when I don't get a beep, it's in the bucket. So then I jiggle it. And the water takes all the sand out, and the only thing left is that big gold ring.
How do you, I guess, you can do that with one hand so you can hold on your metal detector the whole time?
It's very challenging. If you use a Garrett Sea Hunter with the belt, then you can just throw your detector aside. You can use both hands. If you're using this, you can also toss it aside because you've got the headphones on and it's wired. And so either way, you could use both hands and then just pull the wire and get it back.
If you're waiting at the beach, are stingrays a concern, or does the detector sweep them out?
Stingrays?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to get the gold, you really have to go that deep. Unfortunately, there will be stingrays, and you know a lot of detectors that do that have scars on their legs.
You mean jellyfish?
No, stingrays.
Stingrays, you can step.
Yeah, if you step on them, they'll sting you. You know, this is possibly 20 to 25 feet deep that the tide has gone down, and now it's gentle. And so they're still out there. And they also have sharks that nip at you. They bite in the knees. So it's bad. That's more dangerous than going way out in the ocean and diving. You know, because it's murky water, and bull sharks and stuff. So yeah, you take your dominant foot, and that's your mule. That's the one that you're going to push through and dig with. So here's the thing. On shore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a hit, I'm going to dig, dump, and sweep it again. And if it's not in the hole, I know it's in the pile. So then I kick the pile until I see the gold or whatever, and then I scoop it up and pick it up. So I never have to bend down. That's a good thing. So basically, onshore you dig, you dump, and you sweep. Okay? Offshore you dig, sweep, dump, and then jiggle. And you jiggle it until the sand goes out when it's in the box.
That's just wrong.
I didn't take those pictures. Dig everything. It helps you read the beach. So if I start hitting bottle caps, I know that bottle caps are light and they float with the tide, and I need to go further out. I start hitting coins, I know that I'm getting closer. And as I go deeper, then I'll hit usually fake jewelry, brass jewelry and stuff like that. Then when you go out further, it's got stingrays, it's got sharks, but that's where the gold is. It's never easy, trust me.
Is that because gold is just heavier, or?
Yeah, gold is 19 times heavier than water, and so you know it's really hard for the water to wash it on shore. But aluminum is so light. Now we're going to talk about scuba hunting. Scuba hunting equipment. You're going to need scuba. Of course. You're going to need a scuba detector. This is my detector for scuba diving, and last week, Luke actually used this, and he found a big, giant gold bracelet that was worth $500 and something. Just using this. He didn't use an underwater detector. And it's so hard to keep track of all the lines and everything you have, to have a detector and a pinpointer and all this stuff. So this is really sufficient to find whatever you need.
How much does that cost?
$145.
And that runs on how many double A's?
This runs on a 9-volt.
How big does it?
It goes 200 G. That's the guarantee number 2. They're $637.45 at metaldetectingstuff.com. And that's another place that I shop, is metaldetectingstuff.com. And if you watch my videos, you'll see I often wear their t-shirts and such. That's because they're honest guys, I trust them, and they give me a lot of good deals. And if anyone goes to them and says Urban Treasure Hunter sent them, then they give them a deal. It's pretty cool. But I don't get paid. Anyway, the Vibraquatic 2 is on Amazon.com. $145.
Now that only has a light.
That vibrates, has a light, and when you're scuba diving, it makes sound. You'll hear it go under the water. Pretty interesting. You need a mesh bag to throw your trash in, and preferably another one to throw your goodies in. And I use a strainer, and I'm going to talk about how I use the strainer. And magnets. We have super magnets that we use. So first of all, fanning is a technique. You're say 30 feet under at the bottom of 288 Lake, and you get a hit. And the first thing you would do if you're in the silty part is you would fan it away from you.
Yeah.
I know, I'm like, really? You need to take her because she knows everything about 288.
I can tell you that it just silts quick. Yeah, it does. And it's very hard. It's very difficult at a place like 288 Lake where visibility is already better. But fanning is one thing you would do. If you're out in the Gulf and you're in a sandy, beautiful area that you can see, then you would still fan. Fanning would be the appropriate measure. And when you fan it, all the sand goes away and the silt, and all you have left in the end is whatever the target is. Straining. If I'm in a place that's rocky, that has a lot of shells and rocks, and I get a hit, then I'll take my strainer and I'll just take a handful and throw it in, and I'll re-scan it. And if it's not there, then it's in the pan, in the strainer, and then I just shake them around. I also usually put a super magnet in there and tie it in there, and if it's a bottle cap or something, then when I move the strainer over, all of the stuff falls except for the trash. It makes it real quick to find it. Okay, now if you're wearing headphones, submersible headphones, and you're using something like, that's the Excalibur. If you put them on and you go down 30 feet, 60 feet, 100 feet, whatever, and you take them off, your eardrums will explode. I mean, you will go deaf right away. If you've ever had your eardrum perforated underwater, it's scary. It's very scary. You're dizzy, you're disoriented, and it hurts. Okay. So you want to make sure that you take the headphones, put them around your neck, descend down to the bottom, and then put them on.
Is there any concern with changing depth once you're down?
If there was a really big slope or something, then I would definitely take them off to go there. Absolutely. Also, another thing I noticed is when I wore them around my neck, I could hear perfectly fine, even better than on land. I could hear the beeps. So you don't even have to wear the headphones.
Do they have attenuators on them?
I don't know.
Like volume control? No.
I think the Sea Hunter has a volume control on the box. Now, you also take them off before you ascend, of course, because you also have kind of the same problem. Now, there's a scuba alternative that I want to show you, and that is called the Aqua Boot.
Aqua who?
Aqua Boot. So if I wanted to go to Kima and check the dock area, but I didn't want to dive down there, let's say.
It looks a lot bigger in the picture.
It always does.
Wow, another comment.
You're going to have to hire.
We leave her up for small amounts of money.
Frankly, alcohol.
Vodka. Only vodka.
So basically, you would wear this around your arm, and this is the monitor. And so you would just turn it on. Hopefully the battery's yours. Yes. And you get the screen.
Find anything? Aqua Boot.
There we go.
Printer.
And then I can open the mouth.
Oh!
I can
It's
go
like that video game.
75 feet down, and I can pick up.
How much is that puppy? Yeah, you know what? It's like a claw machine. How much is that puppy?
$979.
Can you rent it?
What are you gonna? You're not gonna pick up that kind of stuff.
I'll rent it to you, sure. And it also has a light at the bottom. So yeah, this is an alternative to scuba diving.
That's pretty awesome.
But you still have to deal with current.
That's
And
fine.
wait.
You do have to deal with current, but
How deep did you say? Did you go?
75 feet.
75 feet?
There's actually a fin that I took off of it to pack it, but yes, if you pull it in the water, the fin will make it go against the current okay. So.
Awesome.
Mark, we need to start a race with that.
I know.
I was thinking about the other metal detector, we can find some
Is that
wrenches
a
and
detector
No, it's just a clock. You just look by sight. So the disadvantage is that it's not a detector, but you could, what we do is we hook this to it and we drag it on the bottom. And you know, if you get a hit, you can try to get it, but it doesn't dig. So that's kind of repetitive. But yeah, it's $979 at aquavoo.com. And I'm going to tell you about their customer service. When I first got it, it had a short in it, and I called them and they asked me to send it back. And so I just sent the AquaVoo claw back and kept the battery in the case and everything. Well, they changed the whole thing out and sent me a whole new set. And they don't even want the other battery back or anything. It's crazy. But they're very customer service oriented. They understand that you're paying a lot of money for it, and I like that. It's very cool. Research. I want to talk about research because before you go hunting anywhere, basically, you want to do the right research. Research is the most important part. When we went to find Forrest Finn's treasure, we actually did months of research before we ever even went to do it. And then once we got there, we didn't do any more research, except for maybe some local stuff to confirm what we've researched. If you're going to go to a historical site, you need to research the area and so forth. There's a book that I brought, but it's in the store. And it's Houston Then and Now. And it's a great place for land detecting. If you look at an example, you'll see that this is the Houston Heights, incorporated in 1896. And that's what it looked like. You can see there's a trolley, there's people on horses, and if you look at it now, that's what it looks like. So we go to the heights whenever we can, and we go to the boulevards, and we do scan them, and we do find old coins, things like that. So a book like Houston Then and Now is really good to look at. On the internet, you have different types of sources. You know, I'm kind of an academic, and so I don't use Wikipedia. It's not very reliable. And so you have to know what's reliable and what's not. Sometimes I'll look at Wikipedia just to lead me to a more credible site. There's a place called the Online Historical Newspaper Site, and they link you directly to the Library of Congress. And this is what you'll get. You'll get old newspapers, like the Houston Daily Post from the 1800s. And you can look for old carnivals and where they were held, and look at old maps, and you can find a vacant lot and just go to it, and then, you know, 200 years ago people were having a party with this one. Google Earth is another thing that's awesome. This is a field by my house, and what I did was I clicked on this little clock up here that has an arrow around it, and I moved it back in time, and this empty field became a nursing home, and that was in the 1970s. And so I knew by looking at this Google Earth map, and you know, it depends. I get a lot of YouTube people who are from subscribers who are from different parts of the country, and they say you can go back to 1943 in Houston, but why can't I go that far in my city? And the thing is that these are old aerial photos, and Houston was of great interest. Howard Hughes was, you know, back then and stuff. And so in the 40s, people were flying over Houston, taking lots of good pictures. So Houston, we're very fortunate that we can go back to 1943, and we could go to a field like this, and we could actually go all the way back to 43 and see what it looked like. It's really nice. This is some things that my team and I have found recently. I used to have a database that was huge, and then Camera Girl dropped the hard drive and it broke.
Always my Yeah, I have on the women.
Yeah, that's right.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Carbonite.com.
But I found a lot of this stuff is stuff that I found, but Luke is, the great point about this is Luke spent $120. I don't even think he spent the money, it was a gift. But on his detector is a coin master, and it's like $120. And it's not, it doesn't discriminate well at all. And so he's finding gold like there's no tomorrow. And the deal is you get one of these and it works great. The minerals and everything is perfect. But you can discriminate too much out of it. And so I don't discriminate. I discriminate very little. And I end up hoping to end up as good as he is. But this guy cannot hunt anyway. And recently he's found this ring here that brought in 500. He's found this giant gold bracelet. And that brought in almost 600.
How much you get for the Hello Kitty?
That's just interesting things. The cufflinks I donated to a museum. I got the cufflinks. Yes, they're very old. There was a town called Kindleton, Texas, and whenever slavery was ended, they gave the African Americans this land for fairly cheap. And I hunted the land for a museum, and I came up with those cufflinks that go way back. But there's also a lot of Civil War relics and Texas Revolution relics there. So I keep those, but the stuff that's pertinent to the museum, I'll donate, like this file that's up here, this old rusty file. I found that, and that was part of a slave thing back then and so forth. So this museum loves that kind of stuff, you know, it's their heritage. So I found this actually in Louisiana, and this is it's actually a pewter beetle that the top comes off, and there's 2 post earrings in it. Little beetle earrings on the back. Interesting. And I found this big silver ring and all kinds of stuff. It's really neat. Anyway, if you go to metaldetectingstuff.com or you call them, you tell them that Urban Treasure Hunter sent you, and they'll give you a discount.
How long have you been doing this?
Yeah.
I've been doing this since I was about 12, so it's been 30 years. I lived in a town called Arnaville, Louisiana.
What's your best score?
Yeah.
The best thing I ever found was a Model T Ford engine head.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I found it in this old man's yard, and he let me dig up his whole backyard to get it out. Amazing.
What makes that the best thing?
It's just awesome. I mean,
Not monetary, just cool.
yeah. Monetary value, I think probably $600 worth of gold. I think that's the most.
What states have you hunted?
I hunted New Mexico this year. Last year I hunted Arizona, and I've hunted all out the Midwest. I went to Florida.
So how do you decide, like, what to do next? Like, do you say, I want to find a whole bunch of gold, so you go specifically looking for places where gold might be? Or do you say, I want to go where, like, to a carnival or a rodeo or a fair with lots of people and I can find any kind of crazy thing?
Okay, it's kind of the mood I'm in. If I want to go relic hunting, I'll go to, like, Kindleton, Texas, or maybe look for, there used to be an amusement park in the early 1900s that we know where it's at, and we go there and hunt and find gold tokens. Sometimes we need money, and so we go where the gold is.
So you go back to the same places over and over again?
Until they're hunted out. Yeah.
How do you know they're hunted out?
Well, first of all, you have to keep it a secret, because hunters are crazy. They're on scavengers. They'll be there tomorrow. But if Luke and I, or just Luke and I are hunting the place, then we can pretty much grid it off and tell where we've been and where we want to go.
So why wouldn't you just, is it a time thing that you wouldn't just hunt it out in that one trip so you don't have to go back?
Well, it's a lot of hard work.
It takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time, yeah. I think on any good day we could dig 150 targets. And,
that's a lot.
you know, it's a lot of targets, and most of it's trash.
So what are the don'ts? I know some states won't let you hunt on their beach.
Yes.
Right.
And you know, some churches, parks, whatever.
Yes, you always get permission before you go, unless it's a no-brainer. You know, like the beach in Galveston, they're very open to hunters going there. There's a Galveston hunting club that clean it out. So if you find anything, even a bottle cap now,
Huh.
You know, I've been to churches, old churches, and I went in and asked if I could hunt, and they said sure.
Do people say no?
People do say no.
A lot.
Yeah, and if you go far enough in the country, they come out with a gun and say no.
Or do they say yes and we get half of what you find?
Split it.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing, is that we always cut a deal.
You have to work out a...
And you always carry papers with you that have blanks where the percentages are.
Do you ever try to find the original owners of things like class rings?
When times aren't hard, we do. If things are tight.
Or sit them up and say, hey, you can go to this pawn shop. Buy a ring back.
Honestly, the place I sell my gold to, U.S. coin, whenever I turn in a ring that's inscribed or something, then they'll, a lot of times, if it's a girl, these young guys work there, if it's a girl, they'll call them and say, come get your ring. You know, a treasure hunter found it, we're not going to melt it, so come get it. But they still pay me for it.
Yeah, she has to pay a bit for it, right?
I don't know. I never asked that.
Sure, she would.
I don't think they're in the business.
I'm sure.
Give it away, yeah. They just pay him for it, so they're gonna have to.
Y'all obviously don't know us well enough.
Right, but sometimes I will return it to the owner, you know? Sometimes I will.
Are times good? I mean, right now, like,
You know, they are.
with gold the way it's trading, and
Gold has dropped. And
gold has dropped. That's
it
correct.
has dropped. We kind of keep tabs on it every time we find gold, and it's been dropping. And I think maybe a week and a half ago is the last time we sold gold, and it was 5 something for like 10 karat, and it was 7 something. You know, like 2 weeks before.
Yeah. So it fluctuates pretty.
It's fluctuating, yeah.
It doesn't carry one of those fancy guns that tell you where the minerals and metals are inside the metal.
I've seen those fancy.
Because I do a lot of scrap yards and they've got the most amazing, so they just gun it.
Yeah,
It
they
tells
have,
them exactly
they
how
have
much
guns you can shoot into.
everything's in there, yeah.
Yeah. Those are extremely expensive. They're expensive too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I watch these guys coming in with scrap and they'll just go out and and they're like, oh, it's worth 20 cents.
Yeah, and you know, we collect a lot of scrap metals, and a lot of people collect copper pennies in hope that that they will discharge the penny from the U.S. dollar, and then they can sell it for the copper. And so, I do have
each penny's worth 3 cents worth.
Yeah.
Your detector is an all-around detector. I have one camera, but there's also a gold shooter.
Yeah.
It's the different frequency, the lower frequency, or whatever the lower it's at, which
there's an
is
AT
just specifically for gold.
Yeah, they have an AT gold as well that is on a lower frequency.
So there are like areas that kind of get refreshed. I mean, you know, you like hunt it out and then come back.
You know,
after a season or something, or
true.
2 years or something.
It's true. You know, you can go to a piece of land and hunt it out, and then come back a year later and find old stuff again.
Yeah, it's December, go up to the Renaissance Festival.
They say the ground moves or something.
But I mean, like a beach, you know, I mean, is it, you know, you hunt it out, come back 5 years later, and it's all kinds of stuff.
Say like a beach like Panama City.
The beach you can go out during low tide and always find something. Because, I mean, it's always going to be churning.
There's a lot of places in Colorado where rivers, creeks, and got cracks in it, and lake gold, which always washes down from snowmelts.
Oh, yeah.
And you just go back every season, and people use little, like long hat pins to flick out the gold and cracks. And they clean it out, and they come back next year and
Yep.
wash it down.
We plan for gold as well, and we're GPA members, Gold Prospectors of America, and that's great.
We'll find diamonds.
If it's connected to a gold ring.
A really good place to start this is in South Carolina. There's a place they call Black River, where it's just phenomenal because the way the tides run, everything runs in there. But the difference is when you go dive there, they give you a bag. You can't see your hand in front of you, I kid you not. That's why it's called Black River. And it's all done by feel, but you just pick up crab and you put it in your bag, and then when you come up to the surface, you'll pick up megalodon teeth, tons and tons of shark teeth. One guy just before the dive we went on brought up a musket. dating back to the late 1800s.
That's great.
Cannonballs,
Yeah.
because they all wash into them out there in South Carolina. So any divers heading to South Carolina, getting any of the shipwrecks out there, definitely it's worth. It's a scary dive because things bump into you, you don't know what it is. Okay? I'm serious. But it's a fun dive. It's an hour.
That's the place you don't find cold.
If it's not cold, I can swim, I can dive like this. I can dive blind, but I can dive like
But
this.
yeah, if you have any more questions or.
What's the deal with better searching at the beach at night? What's the difference?
There's less people, and also it depends on the tide. Sometimes the lowest tide is at night. If you're going to go out, going out at night up to your chest is not a good idea, because at nighttime is when the sharks feed, and so you're most likely to get bit at that time. But I love to go to the beach at night. It's just
Awesome, man.
so thank you for having me. And you can email me with any questions if you think of something.
Very nice.
Can everybody see the calendar?
Yeah, I want to.